What is up guys, it's your boy Swollam here, back with another Classic WoW video for the fresh Classic WoW servers, and today we're talking about GDKPs. Now GDKPs is a gold dragon kill points, and it's a form of a raid system where people can basically do a raid, and instead of rolling for loot, or even like loot cancelling a loot, you bid the gold for loot drops. So for example, bindings of the Windseeker drops, you can then bid for that, if it is open to bid on, for example, or Gressil in Noxramas drops, you can then bid on that one as well. Basically, any loot dropping inside the raid, instead of rolling on it, you can bid the gold on it, and the highest bid usually wins. It is in essence a way to buy items inside of a raid. Now for the fresh anniversary servers, this has been banned, and this is something that started in Season of Discovery, Phase 2 I believe, where they started banning GDKP, so people simply can't do it anymore, and the same thing goes for the anniversary servers as well, which means you can't just make gold from raiding anymore, you have to make your gold elsewhere, and raiding in Classic WoW can be quite expensive. In addition to that, the GDKPs was a great way to raid for people that can't commit to a guild schedule. So today I want to talk about banning GDKPs. Was it a good decision or a bad decision? Before I get into the video, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Now before we get into that, like I said, raiding in Classic WoW can be quite expensive, and you can't just get gold from raiding anymore with GDKPs not being allowed, and if you're looking for a way to make enough gold to do your raids for the entirety of Classic WoW, I have a gold making guide showing you how to make gold in Classic WoW, showing you both where to farm for the gold as well, no matter the class you play, and also how to use the professions you have to craft certain items and make gold that way. Alternatively, maybe you have some gold laying around right now, and you want to spend the gold you have to make more gold. Well, we have a lot of information about playing the auction house and also just crafting for profit, and also investing your gold to make more gold back. The majority of gold that I make, for example, is simply by investing. So you buy items in phases where they are cheap, and you sell them in phases where they are expensive. I have already more than tripled my gold, for example, on investments, and some items have gone up ridiculously much since phase 1, and we are only in phase 2. They will keep going up as well. So by investing your gold at the right time and selling at the right time, you can make a bunch of gold, and the aim with the guide is to teach you more about when those right times are, so when to buy items and when to sell them as well. In addition to that, when you buy the guide, you get early access to gold making content. So for example, right now you will get early access to this video right here, showing you which items to buy right now and sell in phase 3 to hopefully make a bunch of gold. Basically, phase 3 investments. I am also working on a video for phase 4 talking about phase 4 investments, phase 5 and phase 6, so you know exactly what to buy now and what to sell in those phases to make more gold. And if you want to have access to those videos before they go public, then once again, get the gold making guide. It is linked in the pinned comment. Now let's talk about GDKPs. Now, when it comes to GDKPs, I already understand and pretty much know it's a very split topic where either you absolutely hate GDKPs, or you're a GDKP enjoyer that loves GDKPs and sees nothing wrong with it, and there's a very small amount of people that are in between that can both see the objectively bad and the objectively good things about it. Because, even me, I'm not a huge GDKP fan, but I do understand it has some positive benefits, and it's not as bad as I have been thinking. Either way, let's talk about some Reddit stuff here as well, so we can get some more comments from there and take a look at some posts, because I'm just going to tell you, both in my comment section and on Reddit and on forums, people are talking a lot about GDKPs. So first of all, we have this post right here. This is kind of a funny one. So without GDKPs, RMT is at an all-time low. We did it Reddit, RMT is hitting a record low because of all of the new anti-GDKP rules in the fresh anniversary realms. Since there is no reason for players to purchase gold for those cruddy GDKPs, our in-game economy is thriving. I've also noticed a significant drop in bot activity, probably due to the reduced demand for raw gold. It's obviously sarcastic / S at the end here, and I'm just gonna say, for me as well, I thought that when they took away GDKPs, even though Blizzard have said that's not the only reason why, like, they didn't just take away GDKPs to take away botting or RMT, you also have the guild social structure, which we'll talk more about in a little bit. But I thought that maybe taking away GDKPs would have a more positive effect on the economy than it has had. Like, Black Lotus right now on PvP servers are about 200 gold each. What? Like, in what possible world should Black Lotus be 200 gold? And you also have Blue Sapphires for some reason, or 100 plus gold or something. They're going crazy. Arcane Crystals going crazy. Everything that is in high demand, specifically from warriors, is going crazy. And it's so obvious that people are buying gold. Mage boosting as well, like, I'm just gonna say it, even though I have been doing mage boosting myself, it shouldn't be here. Like, mage boosting takes away a huge part of the gameplay and the game itself. If they're going to take away GDKPs, also take away mage boosting. Make people actually play the game. I don't know. The next post I want to look at is this one right here. Please bring back GDKPs FFS. All I see is people hosting Molten Core with all BOEs reserved, all legendaries reserved, all materials reserved, and usually 2 other items hard reserved as well. And I'm just going to say, I'm not going to read the entire thing here, feel free to do so if you want to, but the fact that they've taken away GDKPs, to me, feels like people are compensating by reserving everything they can and still making gold back. Like, I tried to join a Molten Core pug here the other day, and we did a couple of bosses, but it was so obvious the leader had no idea what he was doing, and people just left because he was trying to say that he had reserved the BOEs, materials, and everything that was tradable was reserved for the guild. And the thing is, they were only 2 people in that raid group from the guild, and they had no idea what they were doing. Like, they had no like raid leading experience. They didn't even raid lead. They made the group together, we went in, killed a few bosses, they took all of the BOEs, all the materials, and that's it. I think we got like 5 bosses down. They had no idea what to do, and they just took everything they could for themselves, and they were once again 2 people from that guild. And it's like, when it comes to doing end-game dungeons as well, I see the same thing. People are reserving everything they can that gives them, like, gold, or that can be sold for gold. People are doing, like, dungeons, reserving flask recipes. They are doing Stratholm and Skolemans and reserving the orbs and also flask recipes that can drop. And also tanks, for example, reserving BOEs as well. People are just reserving everything they can and trying to make gold, while, for example, raiding, doing dungeons, things like that. And this is nothing new, but I'm just gonna say, having played myself here, I feel like this hard reserve economy is way worse now than it has ever been. And that's not good. Next up here, we have a pretty long post that I'll be going through that talks a lot about the positive aspect of GDKPs. So, why GDKP raids are a great option for players with busy schedules. I've seen a lot of debate about GDKPs in the WoW Classic community, and I wanted to share my perspective as someone who doesn't have the flexibility to commit to a traditional guild schedule. For players like me who juggle work, family and other responsibilities, GDKPs offer a reliable way to gear up without being tied to strict raid times. Here's why I think they are a solid option. Number 1 is flexibility. GDKPs don't require long-term commitments. You can join raids when your schedule allows without the guilt of letting down a guild or raid team. Progress at your own pace instead of relying on RNG or loot council decision. You can plan your spending and target specific upgrades. It is a straightforward system. You pay for what you want and your gold has value. Then you have the reward for time invested. Farming gold or participating in other in-game activities to fund your GDKP runs feels rewarding. You are not just gambling on whether or not your best drops, you are making tangible progress every single week. Inclusivity for casual players. Not everyone has the luxury of raiding several times a week. GDKPs create a space for casual players to still experience endgame content and improve their characters. Of course, I understand the criticisms, gold buying and boosting concerns are valid, but I think the system itself is a net positive for the game's ecosystem. It gives people with a non-traditional schedule a way to stay engaged and feel rewarded for their time in Azeroth. What is your take on GDKPs? And I'm just going to say, once again, leave your comments in the, I guess, comments down below as well. Now, for this, I'm just going to say, the first thing that kind of strikes me here is that people who juggle work, family, and responsibilities, people that can't commit to a guild schedule, you can still pug. Pugs are here 24/7, like I'm playing on Thunderstrike, and there's literally pugs 24/7 when it comes to raids. Going over to a PvP server, there's even more pugs 24/7, you can probably log on at 5 in the morning and see 10 different Molten Core pugs. So when it comes to experiencing the raid, that shouldn't really be a problem, but there are a few things here that I kind of really get. So you have, for example, progressing at your own pace. You can basically progress towards raid rewards without even raiding. When it comes to GDKPs, if you can't raid, let's just say you can play 30 minutes one day, you can still progress towards your raid by farming gold, and you can farm gold, then you can spend that gold on an upgrade in the raid whenever you can do the raid. So even if you can't raid, you're still progressing your character in that way, and when you first do a raid, you can pretty much guarantee yourself an upgrade by bidding for it instead of doing a /roll. So that post kind of talked about some of the positives from GDKPs, and this one kind of highlights the negative aspects, or at least one very negative aspect that I'll be highlighting right now as well, which is mainly from this comment right here. But let's talk about the post first. The reason behind the GDKP ban, according to Blizzard themselves, had nothing to do with RMT or gold buying. So the official communication from Blizzard here was, while we understand that there are some benefits for those who find this a convenient way to gain gear, we also recognize that there are concerns surrounding GDKP, surrounding traditional guild and social structures that are part of the spirit of the game itself. Now, this one comment, I want to read the entire thing here, because I believe it's a huge comment. I read this myself, and I kind of really agree with it. Playing Classic WoW myself, back in 2019, it feels like it spoke to me. So by comparing it to SR or HR, you are missing the point. Those are loot systems most often used by pugs. You have to compare it to guild loot councils or other systems that reward loyalty. The message they are sending here is that it eroded the strength of guilds, and that's absolutely true. I was a GM of a pretty successful guild in 2019 Classic. Even among our loyal raiders, we would often get gripes from our raiders about wasting their lockouts if you wanted to run old raids, because they wanted to use them for GDKP runs to make gold. So for example, let's just imagine you're in phase 3 right now in 2019, or 2020 I guess, and you were doing Blackwing Lair, and your guild wanted to keep doing Molten Core to farm for trinkets, weapons, maybe even the bindings for legendaries, and people felt like their lockouts were being wasted, because instead of clearing Molten Core with their guild for legendaries, they could spend their Molten Core doing GDKPs and get gold back. Our raiders could now calculate exactly how much gold they were bypassing by raiding with us instead. Hell, I even remember a time we had a raider sign up absent so that he could use a lockout on a GDKP because he didn't need any more loot from it. So basically, the raiders stopped needing loot from Molten Core, and then they would simply do Molten Core in GDKPs instead. Even among our raiders who were less geared, they would often tell us they were fine being deprioritized for rare loot because they would just buy one in a GDKP. Without GDKPs, the best way to get a DFT, for example, is to join a solid guild, gain standing, and then get allocated one by their loot system, and with GDKP, the best way to get a DFT is to spend $100 on some gold and then just bid on one. Edit, I am not making a judgment call on the virtues of GDKP, I am just sharing the true impact that relates to the Blizzard statement. This is literally what GDKPs did to the guild cohesion and raiding culture in 2019 Classic. If you like that impact, power to you, and I know there are a lot of people who defend the GDKP like it's a political alignment. If you want to tell me why this impact doesn't matter to you, fine, but it did happen. So I kind of wanted to bring this up right now because I've seen quite a few comments on my videos as well, and because right now, let's just be real here, botting is at probably an all-time high compared to the percentage of players we currently have. Like, botting is incredibly rampant, and you can find bots so easily on the anniversary servers, it's getting ridiculous, and even the market is in shambles. Black Lotus being 200 gold each, Blue Sapphires being, I think it was 150 gold or something a few days ago, right? So some items that are once again in high demand are way too expensive, and we're seeing items now be about twice or 3 times the price they were back in 2019. It is getting ridiculous. It's a fresh server after all, people don't have that much gold unless they have botted for it, or they have simply bought gold as well. Mage boosting is a little bit too prevalent. Like, I think if Blizzard are actually going to keep GDKPs banned, they should also do something about mage boosting, because for me, part of the fun in Classic WoW is simply being out in the open world and seeing other people. Everyone just mage boosting or paladin boosting, basically getting boosted 24/7. That's not the Classic WoW that I like. Either way, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. Thank you as always, and I'll see you again in the next video very soon.